I would like to call the Town of Rocky Hill Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, it's a regular meeting on September 21st, 2022 to order. Just general announcement, we have item 4B, that is site plan application, Vessel RE Holdings. We're not going to discuss that, the purpose of that item is to set public hearing, so just want to make sure we don't get into the discussion, and just for general knowledge, even for the public. Moving on to item 2, public comment. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the commission on the items not on the agenda? Anyone? Seeing none, moving on to consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, now, we don't have, just for who are seated,
Correct.
I think we are just going to move on.
Nancy won't be here, and he runs late sometimes.
Yeah, so seated would be Commissioner Marhoz, myself, Commissioner Zarelli, Commissioner Oglico, and
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
No, Hussey.
Hussey, not
That goes back 5 years.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
But that goes back many years now, many years.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
Blessville.
It's an
So-
inside job,
Not really.
That's
No.
tell you.
So, moving on to agenda item 4A.
Site plan application, Rose Hill Memorial Park Incorporated, proposing to combine properties and convert 157 Gilbert Avenue into an accessory office to the existing cemetery use with associated parking and access onto Gilbert Avenue for properties located at 580 Elm Street and 157 Gilbert Avenue in an R20 residential zoning district ID 13145 and 13044.
Do we have applicant for presentation?
Do you want to switch this now? Still can.
Yeah, well, you could do.
Look, I'll,
Receipt.
we'll change who is seated. We'll go with Commissioner Robbins.
And the reason why, just so people in the audience understand, is the regular members on the commission are Ronald Robbins, Alan Wardhorse, Dimple Desai, Victor Zurilli, Giuseppe Aglico. Those are the regular members. Other members, Nancy Brescia absent, Sean Hussey, and Stephen Lecco are alternate members. So since the regular member arrived, that's why he is being seated before the application even began. So.
My name is Richard Couch, member with Martinez Couch and Associates, with an address at 1084 Cromwell Avenue in Rocky Hill, and I'm here to represent the Rose Hill Memorial Park on this application to be able to complete agenda item A, which is the conversion of the accessory office to the existing cemetery with associated parking. In actual fact, the simplicity of the application before you really is summarized in those 4 lines of the agenda item. So I will keep it as simple as it needs to be. And I'll describe the plans to you that you have in your set. Of the owners of Rose Hill Memorial Park are here with us tonight. There's Maria and Tom, and the attorney David Sherwood is with us as well to be able to answer any questions. So we have the general map. Gilbert Avenue was an individual parcel or an individual lot that has been merged by the removal of this lot line and different overviews, and has been merged into the general lands of 580 Elm Street. So it is now one parcel of land. For the sake of simplicity of receiving mail, the mailbox will remain at the driveway, at the main entrance. It's going to be here. There's an existing driveway here. There'll be a gate to it. And that's going to be 157 Gilbert Avenue. So as part of the set, we have a demolition plan or a site preparation plan showing the trees that will be removed. This is not the entire property, but this is the one, primarily the 157 old parcel boundary in here. And this is the existing building. You probably see it better if you have your own set in front of you, but it's in grayscale in here. The existing conditions are grayscaled out, the proposed conditions are bolded. So we've tried to minimize the amount of trees that are, well, actually we have minimized the amount of trees that will be removed. So, and to support this building as the conversion from residential into an office, and the occupation of the building is going to be far less than it would be if it was a residential. So I believe there's going to be at the most 3 people inside the office, and it's occasional use by a visitor or a client that would be coming along. The intention is where this existing driveway is in here and there is a gate, it's to formalize parking where the existing driveway runs down through into the cemetery. It is to create parking between the driveway and the existing 157 Gilbert, and then to create an ADA compliant concrete walkway from the parking area with the ADA parking space all the way down to the front of the building, to the existing front door, and then continue it down to the garage. The initial slope on the driveway is going to be 8%, which is still ADA, but that will have handrails either side, and then it shallows out to 2%. There is going to be lighting with cut-offs along the street in those locations, and it will be mains powered as opposed to solar. We try to use the solar, but there's too much canopy, too heavy a canopy to be able to be effective. There is the existing gate that's going to be removed and is going to be replaced. So at night time, this gate will be shut. During construction, there's going to be a construction entrance, access and egress, topsoil area in here, and sediment fence circulating and surrounding all of the construction activities. That concludes the activity proposed and my presentation.
Thank you. Anyone in the public who would like to address the commission? Seeing none, I'll go Commissioner Zarelli.
Just a question, you talked about after hours, the gate's going to be closed. Is there other specific hours, or is it by appointment only? What's the operation of this? And does it take place is it in addition to what you're doing already on the property, or is it taking place of something that's already on the property? Yeah.
If you could come up to the microphone.
Do you introduce yourself?
So I'm Maria Labria Judge. I'm the Vice President of the cemetery. It's a not-for-profit, so you know. The building that we've been in for a number of years is not owned by us. It was owned by a company called Rose Hill Company, which is now recently sold. So knowing this, we lucked out in a way. with the O'Bara family to be able to buy the house that we have, or we purchased to do this. So we will not have any other office but this. And your other question had to do with closing the gate. So the main gate to the cemetery is still going to be open, just like it always is. We own that entrance. This gate has typically been closed, so that's why it will be closed. And part of that is really to prevent people from coming in at all hours. We're trying to minimize that, and we have, help with the police and cameras and whatnot. That's really for the town's benefit. Any other questions?
So we just go through.
I have nothing further.
Yeah, I do have a question. Oh, sorry. Can you review the curb cut and you kept referencing existing driveway, but are we talking existing driveway of the house or the adjacent property?
Oh.
I just don't see a curb cut for what you referenced,
Well, no, sorry.
where you referenced the gate. I didn't see a curb cut on the existing.
There is an existing gate in here. There will be a new a formalized entrance at this location.
So is that an existing drive now, or is that just like an access point? I guess my question would be to staff, is there a curb cut there now?
I think you were talking about the residential drive, correct?
Well, I'm confused because he kept referencing existing drive, so I'm not sure if he's talking about the existing driveway of the house or an existing drive that was to the adjacent property, because he pointed to the adjacent property.
There's an existing drive that goes onto the existing house now. The existing drive, for me, is the driveway that comes around and circulates around the Memorial Park. This is a new driveway and connection to the street.
All right, so you're requesting a new curb cut for a new entrance.
Yes.
And is the existing drive going away?
This drive here?
Correct.
No.
Okay.
And it was just represented by the property owner that the primary access for the cemetery, to my understanding, in meeting with these folks, is still going to remain at 580 Elm Street. This is an entrance for the office.
Office only. So cars won't be queued on the road trying to get into the
No.
cemetery?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't intended to be a new entrance for the cemetery itself. This is purely for access to the office, the administrative part.
So the existing drive wouldn't be suitable?
To
Correct.
The problem is we have
You
to,
got to name and.
David Sherwood, representing Rose Hill Memorial Park. I'm an attorney with an office in Glastonbury. The problem we have is that we have to park as if this were a normal office, even though there's only going to be 3 people there and a very occasional visitor. So we would have to completely reconstruct the residence in order to put the parking on that parcel. So by putting the parking on what used to be the adjacent parcel, in other words, on the cemetery, we can leave the residence looking like a residence. And the reason we're leaving the driveway, number one, is so that it'll continue to look like a residence. And number two, because, if they have to bring file boxes into the residence, then the use of that driveway will make it a lot easier. But the sign is going to be down here, not at the residential driveway, because we don't want people coming in the residential driveway. So the sign for the cemetery office will be where the parking is. And again, we're talking about very occasional visitors because the cemetery just doesn't, the office maintains records, and when you have to bury someone, there'll be an occasional visitor, but, the use is really The use of the office is basically to keep the cemetery records.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was more concerned about two curb cuts. It didn't, how we referenced it was confusing, but now I understand.
There is a curb,
There is, there was an existing, there was already an existing entrance with a gate and everything.
Oh,
It just hasn't, it's very rarely used now.
Okay.
It actually is used, but it's very rarely used.
because we don't want people, you know, going
Exiting.
through the cemetery who
Correct.
aren't there for a legitimate reason, so we have a main entrance on Elm Street.
Yep.
And this is just going to be, you know, parking for the office, the gate will be closed after hours, and we're going to try to make it look the way it looks now, except for what we absolutely have to do to make it into an office, which is add some parking spaces and a handicap ramp.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Hudson?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
No questions?
No, pretty straightforward to me. Thank you.
I'm all set.
I'm all set as well. Anyone else before the motion? All right, can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve site plan application Rose Hill Memorial Park Incorporated proposing to combine properties and convert 157 Gilbert Avenue into an accessory office to the existing cemetery use with associated parking and access onto Gilbert Avenue.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
All set?
Right, agenda item 5B.
Site plan application, Vessel RE Holdings LLC proposing 31-bedroom apartments as a set-aside affordable housing development under Connecticut General Statutes, Section 8-30G, along with associated site improvements for property located at 2369 Main Street, Rock Hill, Connecticut, in a town center zoning district, ID 10-080.
We should,
Staff,
I was going to say we should formally, well,
let,
sorry.
This is, while we're not discussing the application or the merits of the application, there's no presentation to be had this evening. I did contact our town attorney. This is our first application under 8-30G. The advice was that this evening, the commission is to basically receive the application. So if there could be even a motion to that effect, saying we are in receipt of
Yeah, I was going
to that
to,
effect, and just say we're in receipt, and we will set a public hearing for
so
whatever
we should
day.
table this and
What-
set the public hearing, two separate, just to be formal.
No,
What-
it's not tabling it, setting a
Yeah, we
public
don't
hearing.
table it yet.
You're in receipt of the application, and we are setting a public hearing.
Yep.
Make a motion
What-
to set a public
what date are we
hearing
looking at?
for whatever day. If you choose to have it the third Wednesday of the month, the regular meeting day, or you could have a special meeting on the fourth.
I would prefer doing it the regular meeting.
What's the next
Do
meeting,
we-
the regular meeting day?
It's
October,
do we have anything
It was
lined
the
up?
19th, I believe.
October 19th.
I believe, let me check. October 19th.
Do we have anything else that we don't know yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right,
So, motion to accept the application for the site plan application Vessel RE Holdings LLC,
And that, the fact that we're in receipt of.
we
Yes.
see.
that we're in receipt of the application, and we'd like to set a public hearing for our next scheduled meeting, which is October 19th, 2022.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we vote, I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to have the town attorney either come before that and explain the ramifications of this state statute, because we're getting a lot of different interpretations, and, nothing personal to anybody, but
Yep.
I don't think anybody's an attorney that's interpreting it, so I think it would be a good idea to have him give us a brief overview of
Yep.
the requirements of the law.
So would that be
That's-
a public session, or would that be an
That'd be
executive session?
Executive session, probably. Right.
Yeah.
So
That's something that staff will work on.
Yeah, so staff will work on that. Okay,
That's all.
okay. So,
So we can vote.
Second.
Move to vote.
all in favor? of
Wait,
the motion?
do we have a second? We had a second, right?
Yeah.
All right, move to vote.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting set October 19th.
Congratulations.
All right. Item 5A, zoning enforcement.
We did have an issue out on New Britain Avenue, an individual with probably originally almost 50 vehicles in their backyard. Not very visible from the street. There was a zoning violation letter put forth, a citation. Actually, the fine built up considerably. Hearing officer rendered a decision. The fine was cut back substantially, yet the daily fine remained. That has now subsequently been turned over to the court system for filing. So we're just waiting to find out what the next step is on that. We have been getting, with the rain we had for a while, we are now getting a lot of tall grass complaints. We did have a complaint of someone actually living in a camper behind one of the gas stations. There was recent,
I saw that.
recent work being done to that particular gas station, and people that lived nearby actually were living in the camper on that property, so that has since been removed. That's what we're dealing with. Construction equipment on sites as well.
All right, any minor modifications?
None.
None. Plan Implementation Committee update?
Our next meeting, just so everybody knows, will be changed from October 5th to October 4th. October 5th is Yom Kippur, and our acting town manager has asked that those staff people that deal with boards and commissions try to respect the holidays of the different cultures. And once we looked at the calendar, we saw that. So we're going to take it from a regular meeting on October 5th to a special meeting on October 4th. One of the last, at our last meeting this past month, we discussed in rather great detail complete streets, pedestrian access, bike access, the Department of Community Development Services and the acting town manager in his economic development capacity did secure a steep grant for $500,000 for sidewalks on Century Hills Drive and Cold Spring Road to fill in the gaps. So that's, I know that had been requested at a prior Plan Implementation Committee meeting. We have a draft policy of complete streets, which is on your table, and I had asked the PIC committee, which is an advisory committee, to get comments back to me on or before, September 23rd. We've gotten a few comments so far, but I put it out to this commission as well. If you have any comments, if you could certainly get back, within the next few days, I'd appreciate it. We hope to have the PIC committee in advisory capacity forwarded on to the town council after our next meeting if we can. So that would be good. We do have considerable interest. There were a lot of different individuals that came last time, representing Walk Bike Rocky Hill, representing Sustainable CT, representing the Commission on Inclusion and Diversity in town. So they were in attendance at our meeting, and I know that they do plan on attending in the future. I did remind them that PIC is more than just that, and we do have to consider more than just sidewalks. Sidewalks is a big hot topic in town, and we will certainly provide updates at every meeting, but we do have to move on to other topics as well with respect to the plan of conservation development. So I don't know if either Victor or Dimple have anything to add to that.
No, I think the only other thing was, I think we were going to look at the Glastonbury Ave study. That
Yes.
probably might be coming soon, so I think we're going to follow up on that, like when it may happen.
Okay.
So a couple of things moving, and hopefully we'll see getting things done, stuff.
With that, we also have there's a study on Dividend Road, the town green and possible expansion of that. There's a consultant studying the possibility of to actually close a small portion of Dividend Road. So that's being studied now.
Is there any effort to develop a master plan about how this would all come together? Because the vision is broad, but the projects are site-specific. But is there going to be like a vision of like, here's where we would like to, have bikeways or?
Well, that was discussed, but we just touched upon that. We didn't, actually, two of the members or two of the people that attended the meeting were asking, are we going to put together a bike plan? And that's something that certainly is in our plan of conservation and development to consider doing that. But this is like ground zero. We're trying to get to ground zero first here. And then I know that our acting manager has ordered some signs, some share the road signs, and I guess some of the language, they're debating on the language of the signs. Should it be the bike symbol with keep 3 feet away or something to that effect, or share the road? So that's being discussed now. So,
Yes, I think on your comment, there are some complications in terms of liability and things like that our engineer, Steve, was talking about. So it's going to take a little time to figure out the whole plan and all that.
the council, along these same lines, the council at their last meeting this past Monday and the month before worked on a resolution for Sustainability Task Force, which was also in our POCD, and there was a resolution that I believe was passed. So now they have to appoint members to that Sustainability Task Force.
We also talked about the ordinance, the sidewalk ordinance, and how we
So much.
need to correct it
Correct.
to give us more power with sidewalks and developers and stuff like that.
So I think basically there was a lot of interest in sidewalks, like not
It
giving
was
way.
actually, I thought it was a good meeting.
Right.
I thought it was nice that we
But
did
to your
have-
point, we need to talk about, we should pick a different topic every meeting to hit on different parts of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we'll do updates, but not spend the
Right.
whole meeting talking about just one
It was a good start.
thing. But I thought it was a very good meeting. I thought it was good, a lot of good input, so.
So I think for the commission's benefit, I think there is an interest in sidewalks, like not give waivers and stuff.
Yeah.
We should have sidewalks, regardless. I think that's a consensus coming out, so.
So if you would take a look at that draft policy and get any comments to me, I'd appreciate it. And it is a draft.
All right, moving on to 5D legislation.
Legislation, there has been legislation approved with respect to the adult use cannabis, and it's related to the number of retail locations that could be allowed in a community. Before, the regulation was based upon population, one per every, I think it was 20-some-odd thousand people, so Rocky Hill would be able to have only one. If there was a big outcry that it said everybody wants this, we would be allowed one. Well, they did away with that now. So now, based upon whatever regulations we decide to write, there could be more than one.
So was that in this last session?
That was
They
just-
made
yeah.
change?
Just wanted to point that out, and we do have to, I'm in the process of working on that as our moratorium is going to expire. We haven't had people recently inquire about it, but when this first came about, there were a lot of inquiries at that time.
Right, item 6, communications.
I don't even have my packet, so.
7A, approved bills.
Motion to approve invoice 1923
The amount of,
from Planometrics for the amount of $2,500.
can I have a second, please?
A second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow.
We didn't do the meeting minutes.
Need to,
We have to approve the meeting.